Hi guys, welcome back to The Social Tune. And today we are here to count down the top 50 songs of 2025. As mentioned in previous videos, 2025 was a bit of a rough year for a lot of us, and if you've been paying attention to my recent community posts surrounding part 1 of my top 100 best songs of this year, you might have noticed a wee bit of a theme going on: comfort. The music I gravitated towards this year was mostly directly inside my comfort zone. Hence the outfit, with indie rock and rap absolutely stealing the show, and frankly, not that many new artists. I went to music this year primarily to vent and to escape, with little room in between, and unlike last year, that meant that there was a lot less chart representation on this list. Well, of course, with one or two exceptions. Somber spent this year ruling the world one sad song at a time, bringing credibility back to classic rock music with some really vivid songwriting. So yeah, color me fucking surprised when he also made one of the best synth pop songs of this year. It's a groovy, tight, gorgeously produced pop song that oozes charisma and brings it home with one of the best hooks of this year. And it's a credit to Somber as a performer that he can sell this much swagger about a girl who is likely not coming back, who he knows that he needs to just get over already. Add to that the terrific guitar-tinged bridge, and you have one of my most replayed songs of this year that deserved to be way bigger than it was in his home country of the US. Made the top 5 here in Ireland, by the way. That's why our charts are just better.
History.
Amanda's divorce was far more public and more widely speculated than I think anyone would have wanted, as both she and her husband released full albums this past year addressing it. And while Jason Isbell went for the more composed acoustic route, Amanda's is much less poetic and a lot more blunt, while leaning much further into the theatrics, with the grand piano and the pained vocal performance, because she knows that as the one with a much smaller platform and the woman in the situation, this is what's going to be most effective. And thank God she managed to do it without sounding compromised. This conveys all that hurt and betrayal perfectly, showing off the power that she knows he has over the public perception, with all his flowery language and his practiced pen, while the reality is a lot less pretty. And the way she deconstructs that with her steady, more plain-spoken language on each subsequent verse, with an absolutely killer performance to boot, left me absolutely spellbound. This year, I finally got to see Clipping live, in a smaller venue in Belgium that was absolutely everything I'd ever dreamed for, and this was the opener, the song that I was absolutely obsessed with from my very first listen. It encapsulates the cyberpunk dystopian themes of this album perfectly. With a glitch-filled mix whose intricacies never cease to amaze me, Daveed Diggs continuing to prove that he is one of the greatest MCs of our time, and the hook was one of the greatest and most explosive shocks to my system that I got all year. The perfect soundtrack to the general paranoia and dread that permeated my year, and hopefully yours too.
You ain't gotta tell me, it's just in my nature, so take it like a taker, so baby I'm a giver.
Look, I'm a simple man. Chapel drops a song, I listen to it about 20 times, and it never ever leaves my rotation. I swear she can do fucking anything at this point. Pivoting to country for a one-off song that she may never choose to replicate ever again, and yet pulling it off masterfully. And if Casual or Red Wine Supernova were too subtle for you, here's her declaration that she can eat out any woman better than any man, as the fiddle screams along with its approval. At this point, I'm convinced that Chappell should go through every single genre one by one, because between this and one other song that we'll get to later, she sure has shown that she can pull it off so far.
Yes, I do. You're welcome.
Honestly, I'm obsessed. Can I get you undressed? Baby, 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 baby.
Marcus Brown, aka Nourished by Time, was one of the biggest breakout stars in 2025, with some of the most forward-thinking and experimental R&B being made today. And while personally, I think that album works better as an entire body of work, I found myself humming this so much over the last 2 months that it eventually crept into my top 50. It's demented and kooky, caught up in a new love where the passion is still burning hot, but where the honeymoon haze is starting to lift a bit. And somehow, he ties that all into the military-industrial complex. Because, well, if you know, you know. Honestly, how is this not going to make my list?
Speak up, don't leave me waiting. Got way too drunk off the vodka cranberry.
I was really hoping that Conan Gray was going to learn and grow further into his potential, and thank God he did. Across an absolutely gorgeous, string-touched haze of wonder, with some of the most beautiful multi-tracking that you will have heard this year, he sings this lovelorn ballad to a partner that he knows he's had some good times with, but whom he can just sense no longer really loves him. So he begs them to just end things, crying over a photo of them after way too many vodka cranberries, because if they don't end it, then that'll mean he'll have to. And I love all the little details here, like the clear call-out of his own blubbering, or how people will likely take his side after the breakup out of pity, or in particular that note on the bridge where he cries out that he will. That high note was fucking worthy of Josh Ramsey. I had no idea he could hit it, and I was so impressed. Please continue this slower, more deliberate path using more of your upper register, Conan Gray, because this is incredible and promises even more than I originally anticipated.
I dropped my cell phone and it got ran over. Didn't even see it, now it's in a bunch of pieces. I dropped my cell phone and it got ran over. Super flat case with a smashed up face.
Michael Eagle has been making these lists for years now, and this is just the latest gem in a long line of entries. I swear to God, only he could make a song about dropping your goddamn phone this vivid and compelling. Probably because he emphasizes the loss of ideas that it implies. All the songs that he recorded and never wrote down anywhere and could never replicate. Even making the obvious but great comparison to RZA's basement flooding. Though I do love that even he calls out the difference in scale. Add to that the dreamy beat, and Open Mike continuing to prove why he is one of the best melodic rappers in the game, and you have one of the best rap songs of the year yet again.
My girl helped me get the SIM card, it was mad dust.
When it's testing me, help me, Lord, I need you to tell me. Baby, where the hell is my husband? What is taking him so long?
Yet another artist I finally saw this year, and fuck, she's incredible live. To the point where the live performance of this song absolutely sealed its spot on this list. I love escapism as much as the next guy, but it's so unique that it's a hard song to replicate over the course of your career. Whereas this big band soul fusion that she's doing, in all its theatrical glory, fits her beautifully, and genuinely seems like as much fun for her as it is for me. More of this please, Ray. So happy to finally see you really in your element.
Where is my husband?
Take me the long way around. Think of all the
Yet another artist that I've wanted to see live for years and finally got to witness this year. Life-changing night, fuck me. And this was the song that Mike Hadrius opened with. A tense, sensual build-up describing the fantasy of getting kidnapped. Thrown into the back of somebody's trunk that he doesn't know, and somehow he makes it kind of hot. Perfume Genius has fully called out that this was a real fantasy he had in his 20s. Born out of a narcissism that someone would even care enough to kidnap him or even miss him enough to pay a ransom. And as with most of my favorite songs from him, he cranks up the instrumentation to something that sounds goddamn hallowed, with the pianos, the drums, and the harps cranking up the tension to an utterly gorgeous crescendo where he reveals his sick mind, choking on his own spit in the pure darkness of the back of this trunk. And I can't really explain why, but I'm obsessed.
Let's get going, forget your mind. You in love, but who do you find? Wanna see you in the morning, wanna see you in the day. Just 'cause I got the guts, don't mean I know your name.
Abdu Hus is probably the most Dublin lad that I've highlighted on one of these lists before, at least since Kojak, who somehow managed to unite multiple musical fandoms this year under one banner, with his signature sing-rap flow and fantastic ear for hooks. Yet another artist I saw live this year, and I can safely say that I saw every single type of music fan there that night. And while yes, this is definitely his most popular song, it's huge for a reason, with an unbelievable hook and lyrics describing one of the most interesting yet relatable dates that I've ever heard described. And while he and she may get messily drunk and end the night getting laid and then doing the walk of shame in the morning, I constantly enjoyed this tune all year, without any shame and even sober sometimes.
Rats in the workplace, the cold rats in bitch face. When will I learn that they just do it better? Don't touch me!
Last one I've seen live in a while, I promise. But yeah, I can't possibly fully separate this song from one of the most fun mosh pits I've ever been a part of. That, and as someone who has witnessed his fair share of corporate bullshit, the fury behind the sexism and weaponized incompetence of upper management described by these British women here, fueled by the careening guitars, percussion, and throat-wrenching vocal screams. Yeah, in 2025, there were some days where I was casually typing away at my desk where this was blasting at full volume.
When will I learn that they just do it better?
Let the rest just fall by the wayside. Oh my, that it might explode. The more I swipe and scroll, I don't know nothing.
Rustin Kelly fully won me over at the start of the decade, and ever since, I've had no regrets. And this was just another terrific song of his in a growing list. A fist-pumping love song about letting all the rest of the world, all the turmoil and the hurt that we witness on social media every day, to become secondary to the one thing that makes more sense than anything else, that you belong with them and they belong with you. As someone who will freely admit to leaning on his partner multiple times for support this past year, and I am so goddamn grateful for them, this song was one I fucking bellowed along to on multiple occasions this past year. Truly the best version of If the World Was Ending that we got 5 years too late, but better late than never.
Let it all fall by the wayside. Put it back in there tonight. Say my name. Pretty, I'm a pretty boy. Pull up, like I know the dance floor. Call me pretty, I'm a pretty boy.
Excuse me? Did you think I was kidding when I said I was listening to more K-pop this year? I'll have you know that TXT, LE SSERAFIM, and Stray Kids have fully taken over my Christmas algorithm. And you know, I'd often heard that K-pop was one of the most sexually confusing genres once it finally clicks for you. And yeah, I think I may finally get that. This is just a deeply confident song that oozes swagger by 6 guys who insist that you say their names. And yeah, I was kind of immediately smitten. No other explanation, especially with that gorgeous fucking bridge, as well as one of the hookiest hooks to ever hook up to. What if we hooked? Either way, the point is, this is by far my most played K-pop song of 2025 by a long shot.
I'm a pretty boy. Rock it, pretty boy.
Pinocchio's in Vegas with his eye on the prize. He's a real boy now. His grows when he lies.
It really wasn't the best year for country music as a whole, and yet, as to be expected, the veteran James McMurtry was one of the few exceptions. One of the greatest singer-songwriters of our time returned this year with one of his best albums in years, and for myself and pretty much everyone else who heard it, this was the highlight. A song that describes Pinocchio as a gambling addict who got cheated by the Disney Corporation after Geppetto's death, where despite that kooky premise, it also manages to have an emotional core, with the song possibly serving as a metaphor for not only losing out on material goods in somebody's will, but also missing out on the knowledge of their life, realizing far too late just how little you knew about them. It's the type of song that contains layers that only the very best songwriters in this genre should even attempt, but with this man's track record, it's no wonder that he fucking nails it.
I can't call you up and ask you anymore.
Face in the windshield,
Blood on the handbrake.
glass on the dashboard. Wonder what I'm in for.
Okay, maybe I have a little bit more representation of new talent on this list than I initially thought, because this was one of the most exciting duos to break out this year. Even though calling them new might be a little bit misleading, as Jada Grace and Swims are 2 members of the collective formerly known as Group Therapy, who I've actually placed on this list in the past. But hell, it doesn't change the fact that this was fucking awesome. The kind of off-the-wall hip-hop with multiple beat switches and shifts in instrumental tones that I almost hesitated to put it on this list, fearing that I was really just listening to a 3-minute glorified demo tape. But at the end of the day, fuck it, I still listened, and it became one of my most revisited 3 minutes of 2025. Wish it could have made the album though. It actually functions as a really good intro. You should try it.
I got that moves on everybody's type. Bitch, I just got a brand new car. Hold me down at the trailer park. We lit up like a bonfire, singing yippee-ki-yay, yippee-ki-yay.
If there is one song on this list that I think may be a wee bit controversial, it's this one, but as a fan of Kesha since way back in the early 2010s, I can't pretend that I don't fucking adore this. Specifically this version too, as I think T-Pain's ad-libs actually feel like they're giving me permission to party along. A trap country song slathered in autotune should be my nightmare in theory, but T-Pain and Kesha just have shockingly good chemistry. 2 veterans of their respective party scenes coming together united to make one of the most fun songs that either artist has ever produced. Every time I heard this played in public, everyone else would groan or go to turn it off, and I had to intervene because this song never once failed to make me smile.
Yippee-ki-yay, yippee-ki-yay.
When true simplicity is gained, how much have we lost? I invested in them feelings, I paid dearly for them thoughts.
Jesse Wells is my runaway favorite new artist of 2025, and it is not close. His poetry and haggard, Dylan-esque delivery, paired with a self-awareness that is rare to find in a man that is clearly as intelligent as he is, made him and his output over the past 2 years really stick with me. And yet, beyond any political vitriol or outright cheek, the first song of his to fully win me over was a very frank folk song about the dangers of simplifying complex topics, and how sheltering yourself from nuance can be detrimental to critical thinking or real-world debates in the long run. One of those songs that both feels timeless and yet terrifyingly appropriate to the moment.
I envy all them stones they don't never say a word.
So, okay, don't be a bitch. The mind's got kids and they wouldn't like this. I'm saying, okay, don't be a bitch.
Look, I had a good 5 or 6 songs from Eurocountry that could have made this list, but since I prefer to limit myself to just 3 songs per artist, here's the first of them. And as CMAT herself admits on the track, it's not a song for everyone, but if you too happen to be part of the Jamie Oliver hate camp, this manages to be both deeply cathartic while still technically taking the high road, as she states that she's trying not to be bitchy about him, even as that frustration builds to a glorious crescendo that almost grows apocalyptic with that final screaming hook. Seriously, how does she keep managing to find new ways to be so catchy and so iconic?
I feel so angry or sad, I must.
Hungry eyes in the mirror like Corinthians. Uncanny Valley AI hit him with the heads, he screaming, carry, my vision swims. Girlfriend, whenever you're around, your light dims. 2 cents, if it's on site, say less.
You know, this song may only feature LP as a producer, but his presence is all over this track. One of the most haunting songs to be released this year. And it serves as the perfect backdrop to Woods and Despot, as they turn the mirror back onto us. A large majority of our society that would stare at our phone screens like paralyzed scarecrows, too comfortable to move or do anything about or even associate with the horrors that we see on the other side. Removed from the realities of war and poverty, while those in real power would put lies into our mouths and ears as they pretend to speak for us. It's one of the most dystopian and horrifying songs on the album, which is saying something, and from the moment I heard it, it was never a question of if it would make this list, but only how high.
And if you leave it up to me, that be what all of them get. Fuck what they telling you.
Some say the folks that are dead are gonna rise again. They'll be lucky if they float. I'd rather be that son of darkness than to know and pretend I don't.
As much as I love Jesse Wells's more direct songs, I also love a singer-songwriter who can wax poetic over lyrics that take a bit more effort to deconstruct. And so, here is my favorite song off of Pilgrim, where he co-opts ancient mythos to draw a line between himself, a born sinner who knows he has his vices, and the so-called great men of our time, who commit so much evil and yet have no concept of their own darkness, genuinely believing themselves to be heroes and saviors, when in reality, they're the greatest monsters of all. And throughout this past year, especially when trying to keep up with the news of the world, let's just say that that archetype and that line I had to draw between the people I casually dislike and the true villains of our time, yeah, this song struck a chord.
So long, it's been good to know you.
Somebody died today, I saw his picture in the funny papers. Didn't think anybody died on a Friday. Some angry banker or some kind of money trader recently divorced or drunk driving down the highway.
I'm not usually a fan of albums or songs released posthumously, but if there is a way to do it ethically, I point to the Mac Miller estate. And if anything, the nature of his passing adds even more weight to some of the saddest songs released in the wake of his death. Take this piano-touched heartbreaker, as he describes a strange feeling when he reads about somebody's death in the funny papers. That outlandish juxtaposition between escapist humor and a tough world that thousands of people don't seem to be able to endure. It's a sobering reminder that you never really know everything that someone has going on, and with that tasteful multi-tracking and the somber piano, it might just be one of the most beautiful songs he ever wrote, even in death. Rest in peace, Mac.
Why does it matter at all?
Just some kid faking it for your love. 'Cause I'm an actress. All of the medals I won for ya.
This is probably the most obvious me pick on this list, but I don't fucking care. I've always been a fan of more muted songs reflecting on the complicated relationship between the artist and their parents. And here, Lorde's musings about everything she did to win her mother's approval, where none of the critical acclaim or the awards meant as much as a little bit of approval would have, a tiny bit of acknowledgement of everything she's accomplished, especially when her own mother was an artist and a poet whom she idolized despite everything. Fuck, with all the resentment here, it might just be her most honest song since Liability, as well as her best.
To be as brave as my mother.
For years now, I have struggled to understand what made Bad Bunny so popular. And this year, with his best album to date, I think I finally got it. More than just your run-of-the-mill trend chaser, this man adores making music. And nowhere was that passion more clear than right here. A stunning blend of modern Latin synths with classical Puerto Rican salsa that results in a song that almost defies traditional carbon dating, mixing past and future into something truly timeless. The soul, the history, the energy, the dance that inspired this. All of it is clear to hear in each warping note and trembling group vocal. Truly Bad Bunny's magnum opus. It makes absolutely no sense that this was a hit, but I am so glad it was.
Advances with the chances of making it into the damn best understand is Dodger. Find them. End them.
This wasn't always my favorite song off of Dead Channel Sky, but after seeing it performed live and hearing the sheer adrenaline it was delivered with, bars laced with paranoia that feel all the more deserved in a world where police states are becoming the norm, and that off-kilter glassy beat that just builds and builds until it shatters on the bridge into something that becomes damn near transcendent and swelling towards the outro, it made for one of the most radicalizing moments of my year. The type of song that encapsulates just how unique and special this band is, in a moment where they felt so needed.
Better to cut, that'll make you a dodger too. True, but if it's really what you gotta do, you just admit it's a better ending to end up defending the very enemy you meant to subdue.
Even in the thick of the storm, you were there still. Broke your heart to watch me swallow handfuls of pills.
The past 12 months were hard, you guys. And in the moments when I was struggling the most, god damn was I grateful for the people around me. The loved ones who stuck through my worst moments and bitter tears, until thankfully, it all got better. And right at that moment, Ruston Kelly released the perfect song to encapsulate the mixture of relief and desperation that I was feeling at the time. And it was just perfect timing. Man, am I glad I got on board with this guy in 2020.
You were there still.
Uncle said, nigga, you must be sick. All you talk about is just get rich. Choke my neck, nigga, and ice my bitch. Beat the system with chains and whips.
This is culturally inappropriate.
What can I possibly add to the conversation surrounding this song? It's the standout track from Let God Sort 'Em Out. Push's line about closing your heaven for the hell of it might just be my favorite line of the entire year. I love the way he outlines how gang violence has been commodified for people's entertainment, as Malice drives the dagger even deeper by outlining their dependence on said commodification for their own success. And then there's Kendrick's verse. I can't lie, I did think for a moment that his verse didn't seem disruptive enough to have warranted that separation from Clips and Def Jam. But then I took a second look and realized that that didn't matter, because the verse is still incredible, with some of the best alliteration that I've ever heard on a rap song. Incredible track, though not quite my favorite rap song of 2025, but more on that later.
In the Acorn's voice, and then you realize that the devil is talking to you.
It's just another day. It's not alright till it's over. It's never over.
Am I just a fangirl who thinks that Chapel Roan can do no wrong? Perhaps. Or maybe she has yet to make a single misstep since she broke into the mainstream, with limited new releases and calculated steps that don't feel like compromises, only showing off even more of her talent and skill. In other words, fuck me, this song is awesome. The best power ballad to the one that got away, that fully leads into the shoegaze, and Chapel's fantastic belting that genuinely shocked me. It's the most New York song to get big in years, including that Billy Joel homage on the outro. And as far as I'm concerned, it gave Chapel Roan carte blanche to go away and never release anything ever again. Because even with just one album and the 3 songs released since, she's only reinforced her status as a modern icon.
She got away.
It's a black underground where my love lies. Deep fried, juicy looking breast, swings, thick thighs. You want my head? Deep fried, juicy looking breast, swings.
Queer slays both a pair of heels and a jockstrap, who loves threatening billionaires, slut-dropping, and calling out ICE raids and repping for Palestine. How the fuck are Kane Coulter and I not best friends already? Sure, I don't presume to have the pass for about half of what he says here, but we both clearly love Sudan archives. I've certainly heard of worse foundations to a beautiful friendship. Add to that the fucking violin, the epic choir, the Protect the Dolls line, and hands down one of the best hooks of this year. And you have a song that I would have loved in any year, but kind of fucking needed in 2025. There were a good numbers of return to form this year, but I gotta say, none delighted me more than this one. After flailing for a number of years, Will Toledo finally seemed to focus up in 2025, returning with his best album since Teens of Denial, and this as the centerpiece. A sprawling, ramping masterpiece among the band's very best, with distorted guitars and loops that call back to their rougher lo-fi roots, and yet with some brand new curveballs, like the experimental jazz influences, some of the best drum and synth work of the entire year, and an earnest chorus that shoots for the fucking stars. It's a terrific song that gives me so much hope for where the band could go from here, and gods do I hope they follow through. Oh yes, this is the song that I've been waiting Gaga to make since 2011. You take the camp theatricality of those early singles, add the raw pipes that she later showed on songs like The Shallows, and when you take it all together, you have the best power ballad that Creeper never wrote. A terrific, forceful, gothic song that nevertheless manages to feel far older than just the past year, with the incredible disco groove and the wonderful multi-tracking, all culminating in one of Lady Gaga's greatest hooks. It's danceable, it's romantic, it's gargantuan, and absolutely impossible to deny.
Vanish into you.
I tend to think in forevers. My mood, it swings like the weather. Put on the hospital floor. You think it's worse than it is.
The critics can suck my dick, because this is the best thing the Wombats have released in about 7 years. In fact, this might just be the perfect sister song to my favorite track of theirs, Lemon to a Knife Fight. Except for that song showed off a desperate individual unable to match wits with someone far more eloquent and more intelligent than he is. This feels like the inevitable fallout of their relationship. As the person who has always tried to make peace and find the middle ground in every disagreement, finally loses their mind and breaks as they realize they can't fix every situation. And blood may just need to finally be spilled, bandages be damned. And with the manic guitars and drums mirroring that ramping loss of control. Yeah, I liked this song last year, and in the context of that anxiety-ridden album, the perfect release point.
Bullseye, aim driving up, straight shots, your grand prize. It was young love, it was dumb love.
I know, putting a song by these two on a best list almost feels like kind of a cheap gimme, but I was genuinely shocked by how good these two's vocal chemistry was. Hell, in a just world where Boy Genius had actually broken through to the mainstream, this could have been a hit. An incredibly mature duet in the mess that was 2025, about two former lovers who've moved on but still acknowledge how special and indeed perfect they were for each other at one point in time. But also acknowledging that sometimes, for whatever reason, these things just don't last. If only the city planners hadn't cut their locket loose to be washed down river. Now that's a reference. And so they content themselves with the few trinkets and memories they still have left over, but ultimately acknowledging that the world they built together, as much as it did mean, is over. But that doesn't mean the rest of the world can't keep on spinning, perhaps even making way for new worlds in the future. Paraphrasing, I know, but that's fucking beautiful. Can we please get more breakup songs that are this loving and mature? Because Lord knows we need them going into 2026.
When one world ends, the other worlds keep spinning.
Maybe I'm sheltered, maybe I'm foolish, maybe I don't understand. Maybe I'm a princess and you're Alchemeda, driving through the promised land.
I don't want to brag too much, but my god did I feel vindicated about this trio, especially when it came to this song. Aside from having some of the most drop-dead gorgeous pedal steel and warm burnished production of the year, and the trademark harmonies being taken to a whole new level of wow, I just fucking love the tone here. Meeting every single preconception that you may have of them as sheltered, homeschooled princesses, with the tired millennial angst of young people who've wasted way too much money on education, and no longer feeling like they even have a place back home. So why not lean into a little bit of danger of the unknown? That outlaw country guitar promises so much danger after all, either for her or possibly even from her. It's the perfect soundtrack to every Southern debutante whom everybody has underestimated, who may just surprise them all. And after this song, I hope they keep on doing it.
Running wild and free, but you can shelter me.
Somebody go tell the priest, God save the queens and all the in-betweens. Why you afraid of the love? God save the queens.
Yes, absolutely, 100% no notes. I first discovered this song back on Instagram, and have since got so into a lot of Vienna Vienna's other music, but my god, this is still the absolute highlight. If there was a song that I tore my throat out to singing along with in 2025, it was this one, with the crunching guitars, Jonathan Corsick's cathartic belting, and that chorus that just made my day every time it came on. entwining dreams of queer celebrities with biblical imagery, where it could have come across as ham-fisted, and in a way it really is, but nevertheless was so damn earnest and important in 2025 that I found it impossible to deny. Man, am I glad that this took off the way it did, even if it was only here in Ireland. CMAT's star has been shining brighter with each passing year, and this is the song that finally broke through the umbra, which is kind of wild because it's probably one of the darkest songs she's ever made. Sure, the chorus is upbeat and the lines are insanely quotable, and yes, it's produced in major tones like an absolute dream, but this song is ultimately about the rampant sexualization of underage girls. Pressured by society to start thinking at an early age, from the age of 8 in CMAT's case, how sexy they should be, because they are that conditioned to believe that's what gives them value. And the alternative is just being discarded. Pretty bleak, despite all the good humor, but it also happens to be one of her best.
You make me want to be ready. I feel different now than I did before. I can see how my power only was my fear of betrayal.
I first heard this song in the middle of a field, and I think it fundamentally changed something in me. I don't know if it's the childhood trauma, the dabbling in genderqueer presentation, the pulsating beat, or simply Cole Hayden's breathy, tense delivery that practically moans with ecstasy once the beat finally warps into that oscillating, glassy set of keys on the bridge and the hook. But yeah, I think this further drives home my own fluidity when it comes to gender and sexuality. No, I will not elaborate, mainly because I'm not really sure I can. All I know is that this song is preternatural, marvelous, and gay non-derogatory.
Active and moving callous, anomaly in the algorithm, to the algebra calculus. I'm all of Alexandria's information in aggregate, ruling elder, giving you the hell to melt the valuables, grievances.
My most played song of the year, ladies and gentlemen and non-binary folks. Uppity presentation aside, this is genuinely one of Aesop's best songs in years. With multiple beat switches that all kick ass and sound gorgeous, all the more impressive when you remember he produced it himself. The rhymes and wordplay and multiple hooks are all insane, and it's the rare song where Aesop is actually just showing off. That's the point of the song, proving why absolutely nobody should step to him as an MC. And frankly, if I was excited by Kendrick Lamar flexing his legendary skill set in a rap beef, to see my favorite rapper stepping up to the plate left me feeling about as giddy as you can imagine.
Stay here in Ireland, and you'll learn to count your blessings. There's no future found around a life of planned obsolescence. The job of your dreams has been replaced by machines, but it's hard to complain once you look beyond the shores.
Many of my colleagues have been obsessed with CMAT's Euro Country as 2025's ultimate anthem to the uncertain economic future in Ireland. But for those of us who heard David Andrew Balfe back in 2021, and were frankly never expecting him to come back with more, our electronica-backed poet returned with one of the most devastating, plain-spoken, and powerful condemnations of the country he loves that I don't think anyone was prepared for. And despite all the incredible poetry that's so vivid that I can only urge you to please go listen to it, outlining the multiple terrified generations stepping into a world where the banks are never going to give them a mortgage and their favorite job is going to be replaced by AI, and yet where everyone you know and love is just going to expect you to stay in the country where you have no opportunities, it's ultimately the raw emotion that got me here. Because as I stated, this is a love letter, and one that's so unbearably bittersweet that Balfi can barely contain it. As the crescendo builds and those uilleann pipes ring out, and Balfi screams in misery that he is being priced out of his own homeland, and he may either have to succumb to the capitalism he hates or face obsolescence. If that doesn't sum up the hellscape that my and future generations are currently facing, I don't know what does. The first time I heard this, as well as the first time I saw it performed live, both times I cried. Because more than any other song that I've heard in recent memory, this truly sounded like Amy Winehouse had briefly inhabited Ray's spirit for a glorious 3.5 minutes. This is pure soul in the best possible way, and I dare say it's the best and most comfortable sounding performance that Ray has ever given. And certainly Mark Ronson's best collaboration since Uptown Funk, where the song sounds so natural that it almost feels like it's always existed. It was love on first listen, the hook makes my heart soar every time, and between this and Ray's other gem earlier on this list, Chapel still holds the crown, but Ray's coming for it. Honestly, I'd be happy if they could share.
I was knocked right out by Big Butt Billy. Big Butt Billy. Where'd they ever get those tiny little bitches on?
This song is so genuinely one in a million. It's so rare for a song to balance humor, beauty, and progressive politics. Let alone in country. Willie Carlisle is fucking hilarious on this. Managing to deliver this love song to a pixie-haired, non-binary person, with all this over-the-top hooting and hollering that somehow doesn't come off as corny or forced, at least no more than it's supposed to, which also manages to be so quotable and is goddamn impressive from a technical songwriting point of view. Honestly, I'm just shocked it didn't make the top 10. But hey, despite all of my complaining in previous videos, 2025 was kinda stacked. And so, without further ado...
The Big Butt Billy!
Watched my mother cry from the top of the stairs, scared when it came through the walls. I covered my ears, half hoping you know who would die. Then he did. Surprise! Careful what you wish for, might just get that shit.
Look, humor's great, and clearly I did my fair share of escapism throughout this year, but damn, 2025 was rough, man. And it would feel disingenuous if my top 10 didn't reflect that. So here's probably the best song of Billy Woods' career, with damn near the most haunting instrumental of 2025. Caught up in the worst weed trip of his life and backed by the sound of a woman crying, he outlines the horror and fear he felt growing up in a broken home. Memories of his abusive father flooding his mind as he remembers wishing that the man would just die, only for him to then do so, leaving him feeling guilty and confused even to this day. Tracing back his lingering trust issues to his mother telling him not to trust anyone, doing whatever he can think of to escape, with the Sylvia Plath reference is almost too obvious and yet feels perfectly apt. The entire album is centered around themes of horror and how reality can often be even more grisly than fiction, but no song encapsulated that better in its text, atmosphere, or instrumental than this one. Like if you pried open the darkest corners of his 2019 album Hiding Places and revealed the monsters lurking in the shadows.
I know you wasn't thinking it was you.
You know, the harder you think, the deeper you sink, the tighter you grip, the further you slip. So I'm singing this song about loving all the people that you come to hate.
I'm not gonna argue that this is Jesse's best song by any means, but it is my favorite. It combines his socially conscious songwriting with some of the best standout lines of this year. Seriously, best 2 lines to open up an album in 2025, and all with some rare introspection to boot. It sums up everything I love about the guy. He's often the smartest man in the room who also realizes that that's worth jack shit without some wisdom. So here, he refuses to dedicate any more energy to hatred, or to take the easy pot shots, because he knows that you could fill a fucking book with what he doesn't know. And Lord knows he's no more mentally stable than a lot of the idiots that seem to surround him. This was the sobering moment to stay humble in 2025. Even with all the stupid people in power clearly making terrible decisions. Because that moral high ground will always crumble if you're not willing to listen, learn, and grow.
Let us gather in notes from our horses. I was getting my whip and my mules.
My yarrow, 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 touchy. My yarrow, 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 touchy.
I mean, yeah, duh. I could just copy-paste my review from a few months ago, but suffice to say, it's probably the single best song of CMAT's career. A sprawling, gorgeous magnum opus that sounds almost as gigantic as the stakes described on it, as Kira slowly watches the country that she loves become too expensive for many of its inhabitants to live in. Starting Oscuelga and then transitioning slowly into English, mirroring that existential dread of The Sorrows by For Those I Love, except through a pop lens with one of the greatest hooks of this year, as well as one of the most heart-wrenching bridges in recent memory. Damn incredible song, as no doubt many people have told you already. And even for CMAT, more powerful and potent than even I, one of her biggest fans, could have hoped for.
I was a gravel weed and I needed you to raise me. I'm sorry the day came when I felt like I was raised.
Surprise, surprise, another year, another Jason Isbell song becoming my favorite country song of the year. Though to be honest, between his acoustic album being a much more modest affair, and his ex-wife arguably releasing the better project, I did wonder if this pick would hold strong. But I'm sorry, the guy's just that good. Gravelweed is yet another timeless song, both in its acoustic sound with the ticking motif, and the themes that are all too real and familiar. Where Jason can't even get angry about how bad his last relationship got, because he fully admits that he owes his growth pulling himself out of a pit of alcoholism to her. It's just a shame that once he got older and made something of himself, they no longer seem to have anything to really talk about, which even colors every single love song that he's written to her since that day. It's a deeply sad song that feels just as believable and honest as Amanda Shires' The Details, but if I had to pick my favorite out of the two, purely as standalone songs, it's not really that close.
Now that I live to see my melodies betray me, I'm sorry the love songs all mean different things today.
Damn, 2 songs about divorce in a row. I swear I'm fine, you guys. In fact, my wife and I sang this song at the top of our lungs in a field in Belgium, where we watched this Irish band absolutely rock the stage, and where they finally convinced me that they'd made a song better than Broken Record. It's the best The Killers song that The Killers never made. Growing older and watching the one who got away, the one you thought would always be there for you, get married and move on with their own life, leaving you to wallow in meaningless hobbies as you're left pining, even at the cost of your current relationships. Mad that a song like this turned out to be one of the most beautiful of 2025, but not quite the most beautiful. Look, I love Bullseye as much as the next guy, and Home Video is a damn modern classic, but how was I not supposed to fall head over, well, ankles for this? Lucy Dacus has certainly written more complex songs in her time, but I don't think she's ever made a song this instantaneous. It's the most earnest and sweet love song of the year, where Lucy fantasizes about the way she wants to pull her partner off the bed by the ankles, probably fool around till they pass out, and then do the crossword together in the morning, yearning for a love that burns hard, fast, and domestic. And really, who could ever fault someone for loving you so utterly and purely? On the flip side, this is the darker, uglier side of purity. Katie is another artist that I randomly found doom-scrolling one day, and who proceeded to absolutely blow my mind, singing from the point of view of a young woman who lost her innocence long before she was ready to let it go. And all because some asshole took advantage of her naive teenage love. It's an utterly scathing song, with some of the most gorgeous, tumbling production and multi-tracking that made for one of the most jaw-droppingly effective tunes of 2025. Hell, even the way it ends with that laundry list of things she hates about him, and wishing for every bad thing to happen to him before he can do to someone else what he did to her, with the standout line being, "Hate that you had me before I was even mine." Yeah, never judge someone by their monthly listening numbers, folks. Because this woman, that I found entirely at random, made my favorite pop song of 2025.
Mama say we gotta get away from them apartments. There's graves in them apartments, and they ain't gotta end this way, cause we ain't start shit.
I don't give a fuck about no industry beef. Ain't nobody give a fuck when Tay was dead in the street.
And now for my favorite rap song of 2025, and it's not even close. The Bob the fucking Builder line absolutely sealed its spot somewhere on this list. And that was before the kick-ass beat, or the three rappers on their absolute A-game. Jid's bars as a representative of the hood, refusing to take sides in meaningless rap beefs when he's much more interested in keeping real people alive and safe. Push's bars recognizing that his drug dealing brought more law enforcement and by proxy gentrification back to his old home. And then Malice, who might just have the best rap verse of the year. "My ghetto's not your culture, people die here," is chilling. And acts as a sobering reminder that no matter how much rap music someone like me may listen to, I don't get it. How could I? Doesn't mean I shouldn't empathize though, and on a song like this, these three legends make their case very well.
Zombie land right there. Them apartments be the perfect backdrop for any nightmare.
You know I've been feeling down. When did it all happen to me now? You know I've been missing you. And time keeps moving faster the older I.
For many months now, this was my song of the year. Because life was tough in 2025, and in a year with such extreme highs and lows, a song about feeling down, looking around and wondering how the hell this happened, running back memories of moments in your life that led you to this point, so fast that it could honestly make your head spin, as the guitars and drums build and build to one of the most epic crescendos of the year, as Cian Godfrey's vocals wail to their breaking point, and then the instrumental cuts out, and in the silence he continues to yell, asking himself how he'll look back on all this, and concludes that it will simply be a time of his life. Because after all, the good, the bad, that's what makes life what it is. The good times pass, but so do the bad ones. And all that's left to look back on is your life, your journey. Even for somebody's child, this was better than anything I thought they were capable of. And with the year that I had personally, it was damn near my song of the year. Except...
I guess I'd call it the time of my life. Loyalty in my hubris, I won't speak to the foolish, only speak to the bullet, but hear the screams as I pull it back the fuck up. Back the fuck up.
Like I've said a number of times, 2025 was not great for me personally, but even more so, it was a rough time globally. At least for pretty much anyone with any sense of moral decency. And to me, Backwash's pain that had resonated throughout several albums in the last few years reached an apex in 2025. And that's after switching up genres entirely. It's a primal howl to wake up to the fact that nobody really cares about her. Even after making it as an artist, or finding her truth as a trans woman of color, she's still isolated. She's still facing daily ridicule and death threats for the terrible crime of just being true to herself. And worse still is the self-hate. That she ever dared to think that she could be happy or make a real difference was pure hubris, as she finds herself honestly contemplating to end it all, and then the beat switches. And as the pianos and the choir of vocals swell, declaring glory to God and begging for deliverance, Backwash decides to carry on. Not out of a sense of responsibility or duty to a wider community, but because she has a video game that she really wants to play. It's such a mundane reason that it almost made me laugh through my tears the first time it registered. But sometimes it is those small things that have to keep us going. Hell, I know that was the case for me this year, the little things where what made the big ones feel remotely surmountable. And perhaps it is the mundanity in the face of such a titanic, desperate song that made this resonate more than anything in 2025, and what makes Wake Up by Backwash my song of the year. Because even when the obstacles feel impossible to overcome, even when you scream that you're delusional for believing that you deserve to be happy, you do. This fucking world will beat you down to the point that you barely believe that. But as long as you refuse to give up and find a reason to carry on, for your own sake, if for nobody else's, it will get better. Or at the very least, you'll have a fighting chance. That's a message I really needed to hear in 2025, and I have a feeling a few of you could use it as well. Thank you, Backwash. And to the rest of you, a happy new year. Like and subscribe if you fucking feel like it. And until the next time, I'm Finn, and this is The Social Tune, signing off.